This week, how did a small Chinese startup erase $1.5 trillion from the United States stock market? Plus, what stocks should you be buying to take a little bit of an advantage of this move, huh? We're going to tell you, plus a whole lot more, this week on the Ben and Emil Show. What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm looking downtown with Benny on me. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going on. So listen up to Benny on me. Tell me what's going on. Tell me what's going on.
Oh my God! Welcome back, folks. Holy God! What a week so far. Every single week there's something going on.
If there ever was a week, this was it.
I did say in our predictions for the 2025 bingo, I did say that something Chinese was coming. Is it just me, or does it feel like something Chinese is about to happen? You know what I mean? And
I think something Chinese is going to keep coming, to
Yeah.
be honest. It seems like America's long humiliation has started, and something Chinese will continue to come. And
Yeah.
that is, you can count on that.
Xi Jinping he's pressing that button.
Yeah.
He's pressing that button over and over and over.
From The Economist.
Yeah. No, he's got his finger right on it. Yeah.
Yeah, so keep your head on a swivel. Something Chinese is all around us.
Something. But the good news is Trump did unban the menthol cigarettes.
Smoke them
that's
if you
good.
got them, boys.
Smoke them if you got them. Light up them Newports. It was the first cigarette I ever had. It's one that I recommend to all my young smokers.
I was
out
never
there.
a Newport fan, but I respect all my guys out there.
They're fresh. They're refreshing. It'll make you feel like you just brushed your teeth. If you're ever in a bind and you need to freshen your breath, pop a menthol in your
This
mouth.
is horrible advice.
Oh man, it tastes so good. I guarantee you, if you've wanted to smoke, get yourself a pack of Newports or some Marlboro menthols. Change your life. And
Oh, real quick, this is maybe like the last one before the Boston show. There's a couple tickets left if you want to grab tickets. to
yeah,
come see
there's
us in
probably
Boston.
like maybe 10 left.
And yeah, we'll see you all there. It's
It's
gonna
gonna
be fun.
be. It's gonna be.
We've got a
momentous.
couple surprises in store.
We got a couple. We don't yet. We don't.
No, there's
Oh yeah, there is.
huge surprise.
Yeah, there's a huge surprise. It's a big turd on the stage.
That is a surprise to me.
Oh boy. Oh man, folks. So I mean, I've already gotten a ton of DMs and people asking us to break down what's going on with this new DeepSeek, which isn't all that new actually, but I
But it's
figured
like huge effect.
it's huge. I mean, you can't. This is how I knew, and I was prepared last week for the stock market implications. Also, we're gonna stay tuned because we're gonna have a nice call with an expert, a researcher, stock guy. His name is James, but he goes by the moniker CITRINI for CITRINI Research. Very, very knowledgeable guy. He graced us with a few minutes of his time,
weighing in on what this all means.
weighing in,
Weighing in, weighing out.
weighing out. So let's set the scene, shall we? Let's set the scene
I feel like I was an early adopter a little bit.
of DeepSeek.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
you had
talking
it on
about
your phone last week.
It was very funny. Okay, well, I had a funny experience with it because, you know who it was? You know Joe Weisenthal? He does the
stalwart.
Yeah, Bloomberg. He does the odd lots, and he was tweeting about DeepSeek, and I'm always, I don't know. I feel like I always like download him and check him out.
That's so funny to me because I don't. I really should, but I don't.
Well, like I don't like OpenAI that much. I canceled my membership, and I was using Perplexity more, and he was an evangelist of DeepSeek, but before anyone was even talking about it. So I was like, oh, okay, let me download it. And I was using it. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. Whatever. Knew literally nothing about it. Was asking it bullshit. And then all of a sudden, everyone was like melting down about DeepSeek.
Yeah. So I think it would behoove us to mention first just how far the AI stocks have come. And CITRINI, to crib off of his research, he calls this phase one, which is just the build out phase, the data centers, the connectivity, the infrastructure, the cables, the server racks, and most importantly, the chips.
Which is crazy because it feels like we've been in this phase forever.
For a couple of years.
Yeah. The entire show has, it's like happened while we were doing the show.
That's exactly right.
dicking around on fucking Dolly, making
Oh man, yeah,
horrible. We were like, isn't this funny? Just horrible little art.
yeah. And now it's photorealistic, impossible to tell the difference. But Nvidia is the poster child for the AI trade. It's gone up. The stock has split twice. It's made millionaires out of many insiders and just, I've got a friend whose grandfather bought her Nvidia stock in like the early 2000s. She's so elated.
That's the real winning at life. A grandpa who
Oh,
can
yeah.
see which way the wind's blowing and saying, you know what, let me
My
set you up for life.
my grandpa had did I say grandpa?
yeah, you
My
did that.
grandpa had McDonald's stock
That's
from way back in like, I don't know, the 60s to the 70s. But then my grandma, when she was riddled with Alzheimer's, her boyfriend stole a bunch of her money. So
God.
yeah.
You got to
Bill,
make sure
he's dead now though. He's long dead. Good for
you
him.
got to have a good grandpa, but then also stay away from wretched men.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he was writing himself checks for tens of thousands of dollars. And then my grandma's
God damn it, Bill.
Alzheimer's ass signature would be on the checks, and there was nothing we could do about it. Nothing we could do. It's a whole long story, folks. But anyway, Nvidia was up 1,800% in the past 5 years.
That's good.
You've got Broadcom also hit the $1 trillion market cap club. What is the name of it? Sienna, ticker symbol CIEN. Celestica, which was one that I followed CITRINI on, and of course, obviously Microsoft, Google, and the capex, the capital expenditure on the AI spend is in the tens of billions. That's how you know that the whole thing was legit, because some of the people who were skeptics were like, Nvidia's fudging their numbers. This is all bullshit. It's like, no, it's backed up by Google, Microsoft, Facebook saying we can't spend enough fucking money. They're getting horny by spending all this damn money.
And as they're doing it, saying like, we need more
Yeah,
money.
we need more.
We actually there's not enough money in the world for us to make these things we want to come true.
And then, of course, the capstone on that big thing, arguably the top of this whole thing, is the announcement just last week of Stargate. $500 billion being pledged by SoftBank, Oracle, ARM, Nvidia, Microsoft, the main beneficiary being Sam Altman.
Trump also wants to get the Saudis in on this, actually.
Yeah.
He says,
See,
come on, Stargate.
$600 billion that they probably don't fucking have, let's be honest.
That's what happens when you buy every sports league in the goddamn world. Don't spend it all in one place. That's what I'd
when
say.
you build a line city.
That's what I would say to,
I admire their ambition. I will
Sure.
say that,
I would just say if I was the prince's dad, I'd say maybe don't buy every sport.
Yeah.
Save some for Stargate.
Yeah. Yeah. Or also just like kick me $5 million. Just give it to me.
Yes.
If I ever met one of these guys, these Saudis, I'd be like, buddy, they find it entertaining to give people like us money.
Do you think
They're
so?
flying
No,
out
I think
call
they'd-
girls.
I think they'd want to pay us to do silly things.
Probably, I'd do the silly thing.
What
What do
kind
you
of-
want me to do? Kiss a camel?
I don't know. There's always that viral like LinkedIn post that makes it to Twitter where the girl's like, I spent a night in, I don't know. I don't think it's real.
I think some of it's real. Where these sex workers, right? Where they're describing,
Well,
like,
yeah,
the
they
thing,
get
like, they made me
approached-
shit on, shit on them and
They
stuff.
get approached by, they're like, you can buy as much as you want. You get all this money.
Yeah.
You just have to meet me at my hotel later. And then it's like 10 guys like,
And guys, what?
I think it's copy pasta.
Yeah. It probably. My least favorite type of pasta.
Let's
by
not
the way.
let's not get off on a tangent here.
No, let's not. Yeah, Sam Altman, who, man, I just think that guy sucks ass, and he changed his mind on Trump the other day, which is really funny because he's just.
I mean, they all have. They've all done this 360.
Oh,
He's the
dude.
latest in the line of tech bros who now have a spine, I guess.
Yeah, watching POTUS.
Don't have a spine.
He said on Twitter, watching POTUS more carefully recently has really changed my perspective on him. I wish I'd done more of my own thinking and definitely fell into the NPC trap.
The NPC thing. Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm not going to agree with him on everything, but I think he will be incredible for the country in many ways. Translation, Daddy needs not
$500 billion.
Yeah, Daddy needs $500 billion and is willing to, he's willing
It's
to say
also
whatever.
so funny to say, I've been watching Trump more carefully recently, and I realized I had him all wrong.
Yeah, I like
We've
this.
all been seeing it, right? We just weren't watching carefully enough.
Sure. I like this guy's response. I would say the same thing about my mortal enemy if he also gave me $500 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, to be clear, Trump is not giving him $500 billion, but he's definitely become the poster child. And like I said, the main beneficiary of all of this is OpenAI. You also had, did you see the clip of Larry Ellison, the Oracle CEO, describing
of course.
his...
This is a bit older. We may have briefly played it on on the show already, but it's important in this context to really, see what these...
Larry Ellison, of course, the founder and now I think chief technical officer of Oracle, which is the same company just mentioned about create Oracle. Basically, this guy helped create the fucking internet as we know it.
Yeah,
and so you got to take what he says. He's worth like $170 billion fucking dollars. You got to take what he says to heart.
But nice little future they envision for us here.
Yeah, let's see. Let's hear a little bit of it.
The police will be on their best behavior.
Really?
Because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on.
Oh, like the body
Citizens
cams?
will be on their best
Exactly.
behavior.
Citizens too.
Because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. I think we have a squad car here someplace.
I mean, we don't
those
need.
kind of
Basically, he's just
applications
saying that utilizing AI.
if we
Here, let's
use
stop it.
AI, and we're using AI to
He says that
We don't need police anymore. Everything's recorded. Okay. It does get really good though. He starts talking about how like the police are going to report on them. They don't even need to report on themselves. The AI is just going to cover everything.
oh, if there's a shooting,
Yeah.
it's like AI. I mean, that's one potentially positive thing.
What?
Like, if there's a crime in progress, like a shooting or something, it'll be that much faster to like, the AI will be like, hey, call 911 or something. I don't know.
That's insane.
Hey, everybody. We got to take a quick break to thank a sponsor of the show, GOODR.
Are you an active guy who's always getting
Or girl.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah,
Thank you for keeping me honest.
of course.
Are you an active guy or girl?
Yeah,
You always getting sun in your eyes when you're trying to play sports like me?
terrible.
You out there on the tennis court trying to see the ball? GOODR, baby.
Yeah.
I mean, what hit him with it?
Yeah, you got they're no slip, no bounce. They're only $25. I mean,
mean-
golly gee. But they're also 100% polarized. They're lightweight. They're comfortable.
They come
got
with a 1-year warranty.
and a 30-day free return. I mean, if you don't like them, you send them back. Get your money back.
They got vibrant colors, sleek styles.
Ooh,
There really
yeah.
is a pair for everybody's personality. I'll tell you that. We got a whole bunch from them, and I'm wearing them during tennis. I'm looking cool. I'm feeling great. I'm seeing the ball clearer than I've ever seen it.
It's that polarized lens, man.
Yeah.
Once I got polarized lenses, I
There's no
realized
looking back.
Yeah, there's no looking back. Yeah, you can wear them when you're on a run, when you're playing pickleball or tennis, like my man does here,
Thank
on a
you.
hike while you're driving. Go to the beach. You don't have to worry about losing them or breaking them because they're so affordable. You can just have a pair for every occasion.
By far the best part.
Yeah.
I bet 50% of the audience who's watching right now has lost a pair of sunglasses.
Oh yeah, or broken them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would say, and there is nothing like the carefree feeling
Mm-hmm.
of being active with a pair of GOODRs on.
If you need a new pair of sunnies, GOODR is giving Ben and Emil Show listeners free shipping. You can go to goodr.com/bays and use code BAYS for free shipping. GOODR offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Again, that's GOODR, GOODR.com/bays and use code BAYS for free shipping. Let's also see that thing about Sam Altman, what he thinks society will
Right.
change.
These two coupled with each other is a very scary thing.
Yeah.
When, this guy who is an unelected figure with billions of dollars who
Yeah.
wants, they also, whatever, play it and then we can talk about it.
I still expect, although I don't know what, and this is over a long period of time. This is not a like next year or,
Wait,
the year
pause it
after
real
that kind of
fast.
thing.
He looks like those filters where it's like see how many hot dogs you can eat really fast on like Snapchat and it slowly makes your cheeks rosy and fill up.
No, you know who he looks like?
He looks like he's about to sneeze.
the chef from Ratatouille.
He does look like the chef from Ratatouille. I was going to say a chipmunk who made a wish to become human.
Yeah.
But okay, let's play.
But over a long period of time, I still expect that there will be some change required to the social contract, given how powerful we expect this technology to be. I'm not a believer that there won't be any jobs. I think we always find new things to do. But I do think like the whole structure of society itself will, be up for some degree of debate and reconfiguration.
Oh man, this guy is. Imagine how nice it must feel to be pontificating on the future of society and being on the bleeding edge of dictating and deciding which direction we go, and just being like, yeah, this thing that I'm building, society's just going to have to figure out how to work around it.
Right.
Like, suck my dick.
And he acts like it's like a foregone conclusion. He acts like it's like, I have no control over this thing. It's just coming. And I'm sorry that all of society will change and you'll have to get used to it and probably be a completely different person. There's just nothing we can do.
Yeah. And the reason that we're showing that is because that's kind of already, well, I mean, the Larry Ellison thing can still apply. And I think might still be an inevitability. But
I mean, it's already kind of come to pass where like education has changed in an insane way. They're basically unable to decide if students have done their own work and all of these things. Have you ever seen those videos of the like elementary school where they do all their learning through AI?
No.
It
sounds
super
upsetting.
weird. I wish I had the clip. Dude, but the kids love it. The kids are like turbo maxing. They freak.
Hell yeah.
They
give them some menthols.
Dude, and they're so, it's always this girl being like, yeah, and it's all on you. So if you're not learning, it's your fault.
Is that a little girl saying that?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So these people, up until like very recently, we were just kind of all held hostage by them in their giant closed source, closed-ended. I'm not even using the right fucking terminology, but it's basically like, yeah, we've just got OpenAI and Claude and fucking
yes, which OpenAI. Oh wait, is that it?
Probably isn't what comes to mind when you think of an average school day. Kids breathing fire,
Find a spot for your foot.
climbing a rock wall, and even learning the art of grilling. But for students at the Alpha School in Austin,
kid fucked up that flip.
this
Did
is
you
no
see that? The
field
burger
day.
flip?
Yeah, because he's not doing enough AI.
Here, K through 12th graders are proudly cutting classes, spending just 2 hours a day learning math, science, reading, and writing, all with the help of an AI tutor and without a single teacher.
Morning launch time.
Mackenzie Price is the co-founder of Alpha School and its 2-hour learning program.
This is a school without teachers.
We have no
We can cut
teachers
it,
at our
but
schools.
it's
Can you believe
unless there's like a clip of the girl. Can you scrub through real quick?
Airbnb.
How old are you?
I'm 11.
You're 11.
Yeah.
And how much money did you guys make with this Airbnb?
So we have $10,000 of confirmed bookings.
Over at Alpha High School.
Okay, whatever.
Man, fuck that little kid.
I can't wait till that kid's my boss and I have to fucking
Yeah. We have to let you go because your Airbnb didn't book enough for this month. Sorry. You're not working hard enough is the thing. You can work as hard or as little as you want. Anyway.
But yes, OpenAI was supposed to be this, nonprofit.
And they still are. Like they still are a big one, but they just got their shit rocked.
They were supposed to be a nonprofit is what I'm saying. We've obviously covered a lot of this. They've made all these changes. Elon Musk has tried to sue them. They've had all this turnover. Ilya Sutskever has left because they're not living up to their ideals. And then they, the open AI of open source being able to, we want to spread the gospel and let everyone kind of work on this stuff has become closed AI.
Yes. And I mean, they are still making huge strides. They just launched this operator thing, which, to quote them, it says the tool is live today for pro users for $200 a month in the US, and plus users are $20 a month will have access next. They say it has built it's basically it enables the AI to actually work an internet browser for you on your behalf.
Yeah, and like book things for you. You can book restaurants, book hotels.
Which is like the most practical use I've heard of for someone like me so far, because I don't use this shit.
I guess I just wouldn't trust it.
I wouldn't trust it out. But it
I go on
says,
vacation, I just end up eating at the worst fucking restaurants
Yeah.
in the.
we found you a reservation at Dog Shit Burger.
Yeah.
OpenAI did say that it's built in safeguards against completing illegal activities, falling for scams, and purchasing the wrong items. As part of, well, there you go. As part of the safeguards, it confirms with the user before completing purchases. But so then all of a sudden, DeepSeek.
Wait. Before we even talk about that, you know what? This 2023 Sam Altman is a nice little precursor to what happened. This is in India, and this guy asks Sam about scrappy young upstarts, and you'll see Sam's response.
Just going to startups. I mean, as you know, we've got a very vibrant startup ecosystem in India. Specifically focused on AI, are there spaces where you see, let's say, a startup from India building? You can build on the models, be it ChatGPT and many others. But if you want to build foundational models, how should we think about that? Where is it that a team from India, 3 super smart engineers with, not 100 million, but let's say 10 million, could actually build something truly substantial?
Look, the way this works is we're going to tell you it's totally hopeless to compete with us on training foundational models. You shouldn't try, and it's your job to try anyway. And I believe both of those things.
Wow.
I think it is pretty hopeless, but.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
That's
incredible.
Sam Altman is saying that, look, with your $10 million,
there's nothing you can do.
It's hopeless.
Get fucked. We've got all the money, and that's what I thought too. I mean, I truly believed him because I'm like, I don't understand any of this shit.
Well, that's kind of the problem too, right? They're controlling this narrative where the whole thing is basically, it's so incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
You just have no shot.
Yeah.
And I mean, and a lot of development has come from, Microsoft bought them up so they could have more funds at their disposal.
Mm-hmm.
They really do need it.
Yeah.
But maybe that's on them. Maybe it's a skill issue.
But then something Chinese this way comes. DeepSeek. They've been around for a while, apparently. They've been publishing papers. And they just released this new R1 model on January 20th. And apparently it performs as well as OpenAI's new O1 on a bunch of benchmarks. And very quickly, it rockets to number 1 on the App Store. And just speaking to what Sam Altman just said, while GPT-4 cost over $100 million to train, the large language model that DeepSeek uses costs about $6 million to develop. So the thing is, there were a bunch of people immediately being like, they're lying. That's what the Chinese do. It's all lies and it's fucking no, because they published all of this stuff and you can replicate what they're talking about. And
well, I think it depends. I think people aren't saying they're lying about its capability. I think everyone can see the capability.
Sure.
It's all there. And as we said, it's open source, so people can look and see the reasoning and look at, it would be gobbledygook to me,
Sure.
but people that do seem to know what they're talking about can look at it and say, this is actually revolutionary. I think where people are saying there's maybe Chinese propaganda or lies is the resources they use and
Right.
everything like that. So a lot of people don't buy the $6 million figure. A lot of people maybe don't buy this 2,000 was it GPUs or
yeah,
chips?
they said that they're only using 2,000 NVIDIA chips versus the 16,000 plus used for other models. And yeah,
Not only are they saying less chips, there's a difference in the chips they're using because of, there's these export restraints with
right.
China. Again, I don't want to screw this up, but I believe they're using H800 GPUs that the Chinese company had because they couldn't buy the superior H100 or A100. So even the chips are less superior.
Right.
It's not just about the number of chips, but also the chips themselves.
And CITRINI was saying he was saying last year actually that the export controls were China's hardware hurdles. He said exactly that restriction would lead to other breakthroughs because they'd be forced to find shortcuts. They'd be forced to find workarounds. They'd be forced to get scrappy. And that's exactly what they did. They're basically a bunch of dorks in China.
They're innovating. They're getting creative.
Innovating.
They're like American tech companies decades ago, where all these companies have been. They're not even. they're like weird tech banks now. They just like buy up anyone who actually is innovating because they don't want any competition. I mean, a lot of people are also talking about antitrust in this and the way it works in America and the way we've allowed these tech companies to become these monoliths that just aren't forced to innovate in this way. They just hoover everything up that might be a threat to them.
Yeah. So you basically had these guys in China saying, "Hey, look what we built," despite having way less to work with and to go off of. They optimized. And it is really ironic because of how secretive the United States has been and how we've treated it like nuclear weapons, essentially. And just like, oh my God, we got to keep this close to the chest.
Yeah.
We got to prevent China from getting any of these chips.
With the export
and then
controls.
It ended up fucking being the case that they might have not made such advancements if those export controls were not there in the first place. Like it forced them to get scrappy in such a way that who knows, maybe they wouldn't have gone that route and would have gone I don't know. It's all I don't know.
I feel like, I mean, I don't know. From what I'm hearing, it seems like I don't know. We're gonna watch me like slowly be from. You can do like a edit of me being like ironically China pilled to just like fully China pilled.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We everyone in America wants to be the high paying jobs are like the bankers and analysts, and it's not the same over there where it's not a job they go after. I think they've like
got a common goal over there.
Salary controls and stuff in that sector because they're like, we don't want everyone to become a fucking banker.
Yeah. I also just on the pure functionality of it, people have been playing with it for the last several weeks. They're highlighting the fact that and CITRINI says this in the call, or James rather, it shows you how it's thinking. It says versus ChatGPT and other things. It's just like, hang on. And then it just dumps on you. It says like, well, it walks you through.
It can show you how it got to its conclusion.
And so number one, that increases trust with the usability of it and probably keeps you coming back as a customer. But there was a guy I saw who made a very interesting point, which is that China has been around for thousands of years and has preserved much, if not all of its literary history, which gives them a huge data advantage and also a sort of spiritual and philosophical one as well.
I did like talking to it. It was funny. I've been,
I want to see what that looks like. You talking to fucking DeepSeek.
I can show you one funny one.
Okay.
I don't think. So we were away this weekend, and it was rainy, and there wasn't much to do, so we were playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
And my girlfriend was on
girlfriend phone.
On her phone, and I was just joking around. I was like trying to get her attention. So I said that's I had dealt all the cards out and was just waiting. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna talk to DeepSeek. And I said,
wow.
I said, what the hell's my girlfriend doing? We're supposed to be playing cards, but she's on her phone. And then just very quickly it said, sounds like your girlfriend might be distracted by her phone, which can be frustrating if you were looking forward to spending quality time together playing cards. Here are a few ways to handle the situation. 1, communicate calmly. Instead of getting upset, try saying something like, hey, I was really looking forward to playing cards with you. Is everything okay? This opens up a conversation without sounding accusatory. 2, set boundaries. If phone use during your time together is a recurring issue, you might want to discuss setting some boundaries. For example, you could agree to put phones away during certain activities. 3, join her. Sometimes people get caught up in something on their phone that they find interesting. You could ask, what are you looking at? Can I see? This might help you understand what's capturing her attention.
Wow,
It could even
really
be,
good advice.
Yeah. And then 4, be patient, blah, blah, blah. And I said, thanks, that was helpful. You're welcome. I'm really glad you found it helpful. Relationships thrive on good communication and understanding. So keep that in mind as you navigate situations like this.
I'm surprised it didn't lead with like Confucius, say.
Well, it ended with the CCP is strong.
Very good.
But
speaking of, we got to show. We'd be remiss if we did not show you that one of the lead researchers at the parent company is this woman named Fuli Luo, and she's just a cutie. She's a cutie patootie. Oh, I shouldn't say that. That diminishes her accomplishment.
Yeah,
that was
out.
very sexist of me. No, we can leave it.
Okay.
I'm owning it. But it's not every day that you've got this singular person becoming a kind of poster child. She's published 8 papers in top world journals on AI during her master's program at Peking University. She turned down a huge salary to finish her master's program, and it's just very interesting because it's like she's look at her, she's cute as hell.
Well,
She was offered $10 million and she turned it down to work at DeepSeek. Yeah.
But also part of the open source thing is because there's obviously a lot of cope on the internet right now. And people are kind of comparing it to TikTok and everything. And, it's open source, meaning it can also be run locally on your machine.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a big deal.
Yeah, especially because everyone's like,
here, let's go.
There's a guy went kind of viral because he was like, Americans sure love giving their data away to the CCP in exchange for free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have to run on their servers. And obviously, I think anytime something like this happens, we're going to hear the same fucking narrative of like, well, why don't you ask it what happened at Tiananmen Square?
Yeah.
Go ahead. So if it's running on those servers, yes, it might not give you the answer you're looking for. But if you aren't running it on their servers, you can still access that kind of information.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But the big deal here is like you said, it's open source. So there's no secrets, and it's basically democratizing it and commoditizing AI. Commoditizing is the word. But commodify, they're both the same.
Let them work it out.
So it's interesting because they publish how it works. They say they trained it. They basically used a ton of compression and algorithms to train it to be way more efficient. And it says that it learns like a human would. If the answer is right, it's kind of just like teaching itself, versus other models where they just overload it with every bit of information, and it just kind of is like, okay, it's like learning something and then taking that learning and practicing it. It kind of does the same thing from what I understand. If it gets a correct answer, it gets a reward, and it kind of continues to build on itself.
Yeah, I can't really comment on the technical aspects.
And I think that's where the inexpensive part comes into play.
I think it's much more energy efficient. Yes, all of that stuff is.
Everything.
I think we look a little bit silly when we're like we're investing $500 billion into all these what do they call them?
Small nuclear reactors, data centers.
Data centers.
Yeah.
And they can accomplish these things for a fraction of the energy. It's much cheaper to use. But then have you heard them talking about, what is it, Jevons paradox or whatever?
Yeah,
it's basically this like energy theory that
I thought it was an economic thing.
Well, yeah, it has to. But as energy becomes more efficient, some would think that great, now we'll have excess energy, we can accomplish all the things we want. But what usually happens is that they go, well, no, we just have all these new uses for energy, so we need more and more and more. You need ever more. It's like lifestyle creep. You get a raise at work and you're like, great, I'm going to have money left over at the end of...
That's a great analogy.
I'm going to have money left over at the end of this paycheck. Then you go, what the fuck? How'd that happen?
Yeah.
Well, you're going out to dinner all the time.
Yeah,
now.
you're making more money, you're going to use it more. That's Jevons. Is it Jevon?
I don't know how you say it.
Jevon. I'm going to say Jevon. Jevon's paradox.
You could say Jevon.
The cost goes down, but the use goes up. And what's really fun, man, oh my God. So ByteDance also had the TikTok parent company dropped Daobao 1.5, which matches GPT-4o benchmarks at 50 times cheaper. No, we don't need to look that one up.
I'm telling you.
Alibaba just launched. I mean, China is just all of a sudden dropping AIs that are super efficient, hyper competitive. It's fucking awesome.
We were making fun of those people who were on Red Note learning Chinese, but we're way behind them. We should all be learning.
I matched
Mandarin.
with a white woman on Hinge who speaks. She says she speaks Mandarin.
Does she spink it?
She spinks it. Fuck. God damn it. All right. So now
was the drink there?
The big.
Wait, there. I do want it. There's one more really funny. So this is from Neil Khosla. This was another one that
Neil
went viral. DeepSeek is a CCP state psyop and economic warfare to make American AI unprofitable. They are faking the cost. I think he wrote this wrong. They are faking the cost was low to justify setting price low and hoping everyone switches to it. Damage AI competitiveness in the US. Don't take the bait. It's these things are so funny when faced with it. It feels very similar to the electric cars. Like you're seeing it in the flesh. You're showing me videos of just like, I'm like, that is far and away a better car.
Oh yeah, I'm touching these cars. They're so superior.
Every time there's something, they're like, your eyes deceive you. The Chinaman has made you look like a fool again. do not use his cheap AI.
Why are you doing a Chinese accent for the American?
That wasn't a Chinese accent. That was just me pretending to be one of these morons.
Yeah.
It's just a very strange
Buy
thing.
Fartcoin instead.
Well, yeah, I don't
focus on this.
It's the hardest cope I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Did you see the Chinese satellite that has surpassed Starlink in being able to send data back to Earth?
But that's not surprising. They're just all of a sudden walloping our asses. Just all at once. Just like, oh yeah, and our satellites better. Electric cars better. We have a higher use of coal, but that's just because we're whipping so much ass. We just need more power.
Yeah,
we've already got it, but we're working on it. They're working on clean.
I mean, they've already been ahead with even infrastructure. People have told. It was someone we were out to dinner with. They were telling us that and I think it was before you went to China, but we were like, I don't know, it looks crazy over there. Like high speed rails, all the infrastructure and stuff. And they were like, oh yeah, but it's like all made out of paper. It's all gonna disintegrate.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening here. All of our, it's so odd to, get on a crumbling subway and then be like, yeah, but it sure looks nice, but it's about to fall.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, here you go. China has claimed to surpass SpaceX's Starlink in achieving high-resolution space-to-ground laser transmission in what is believed to be 6G technology. Boy, if 5G is bad for you, I wonder how bad 6G is going to be. Really going to cook
I don't know.
my
I
balls.
got to get my hands on a Huawei phone, man. I'm tired of using these goddamn apples.
This speed is believed to be 10 times faster than its previous record, 100 gigabits per second. Babu. Oh, babu. All right, so the big
would
thing,
love
though,
to know what that headline is. Lana Del Rey asked Selena Gomez to go to Mexico after, I don't know.
I don't want to know. I can't say. After her viral video over Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. In the now deleted clip,
All right,
Selena
let's
said,
not get
I just wanted to say that I'm so sorry. How did the markets react? So I noticed that this was going to be a big story over the weekend when it went really mainstream. It wasn't confined to just like the FinTwit accounts, the people like CITRINI talking about it. It was a lot of just like normal average people being like, whoa, laughing at NVIDIA, saying, oh look at how stupid all these tech companies look.
It was very strange though, because it often doesn't happen. Like I've seen people talking about how like, oh, it's just a bunch of noise on Twitter, but like that doesn't normally end up accounting for $1 trillion lost in the
1.5.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So
it's obviously bigger than just a bunch of people being like, wow, this Chinese AI.
So earlier this week, I mean, it'll be a few days ago for you guys, and we did bounce today as of this recording, but yesterday on Monday, over $1.5 trillion in market cap was lost. This still blows my mind just to read this. NVIDIA was down to the effect of $589 billion. The value of the company went down in a single day by $589 billion.
What was it percentage wise? Like 12% or something like that?
I want to say 20 or something.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It might have been 20. Oracle was down 14%. Dell was down 9%. And a bunch of the other adjacent names were all down. And the reason was, on the surface, it was, well, shit, if China could do it for so cheap, then what the fuck are we doing? What does this mean for our entire stock market? Kyla put out a great video. You guys should go watch it. But she pretty succinctly says our economy, our stock market is really heavily focused on, we've been shoveling so much money into these things that, we then go on to make money without much room or focus on innovation. And it just kind of totally all in one fell swoop, that whole narrative, so many narratives have changed with this. And that's the thing that drives the markets. Narratives, beliefs, And what the market doesn't like is uncertainty. So what you had all at once was this major uncertainty. I mean, even people like me, I'm like, okay, well, wait, I'm trying to sift through the noise and go, is this really that bad for all of these companies? Kinda, but what you're more likely to see is what we're probably already starting to see is rotation out of names like Nvidia, Broadcom, etc., and into like more software names, and it's already happening.
Yeah.
It's
And I'm
really
sure a bunch of
interesting.
money guys right now are going, hey, what the fuck? You guys said you needed all this money to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Some Chinese guy just did it for way cheaper.
Yeah.
The hell?
Did you see the oh man, I wish I had it pulled up. The CEO or whatever of DeepSeek has been just tweeting like memes and shit and mocking Sam Altman on Twitter. It's been so good.
No.
So great. But just piggybacking off what I was just saying.
That's fun. I love that. I hope he keeps doing that.
CITRINI's got a really great, I mean, it's a really long, really well-written, really comprehensive analysis of all of this that they put out over the weekend. But he wrote, at the peak of hype cycles, aka like what we just have had with AI, or infrastructure build out of AI, you don't need a crazy development to cause volatility, just concern. Concern about an overbuild or lost pricing power and margins or competition. Very few of us were AI experts when we invested in AI, and just because it worked doesn't mean the market intrinsically understands this technology. It's very easy for a panic to get underway and send things down. I love what he highlighted there. Just because it worked doesn't mean the market intrinsically understands the technology. That's what was happening over the weekend. That's what happened yesterday. Nobody fully understands. Everybody's kind of scrambling, and yeah, all these fucking hedge funds and whatnot, they're all probably going, okay, dummy. They're getting the nerds to explain to them, what are the implications of this? How do we prepare? And that uncertainty unfolded beautifully yesterday.
And to be fair, I do want to highlight, there are a lot of unknowns here. The narrative is a bit shaky. I think the people who are maybe questioning the amount it was achieved for are maybe have some, there's a bit of credence to that. Sure. I also think it's being mistaken. So when they say that $6 million number, they're saying that that's all these other things haven't been accounted for, like salaries, all these other things that
Hardware.
are not a part of it. Yeah. I think it's a very specific number just allocated to its training. There's also some weird, I saw someone talking about it today. It is somewhat possible that China's gotten its hands on some of these more advanced chips and processors through Singapore.
Because 20% of, according to NVIDIA themselves, 20% of their sales comes from Singapore. And Singapore
the implication
and China
there is that they're not staying in Singapore.
Right.
They're then going out to China. We don't know.
But even then, I was reading that the architecture of those NVIDIA chips is such that there are still kind of controls in place. And what these researchers at DeepSeek were doing was essentially like kind of recoding them and rejiggering them on a very basic level to make them work together in a different way.
Yeah, regardless of whether or not the narrative is true of the cost and the chips and that kind of thing, they have achieved a real success here with innovation. That part is very real.
Yeah. Scroll up just a little bit.
And it's just a more efficient model, doing things for cheaper and less energy use.
So that speaks to the narratives, as we were just talking about. The narratives are totally up. That's why this is all really cool, really exciting, and why the market is kind of flipping out, because so many narratives that were such givens are now completely out the window. China, as it turns out, is not nearly as secretive as at least our tech overlords in the United States government would have you believe, by virtue of the fact that this is totally open source. Anybody can take it, run it on their own computer, configure it however you want.
The other AI I was calling out, Perplexity, has already implemented into its own AI, so it's into its own program and everything. So I mean, people are using it. People are doing all kinds of things with it.
Yeah. The other narrative: we aren't the only innovators. I mean, I used to think, I was like, oh yeah, I believe Sam Altman when he's like, yeah, nobody's going to come close because don't even bother. It's so prohibitively expensive, blah, blah, blah. That narrative is gone.
Which kind of points to the problem with the guy creating the tech also controlling the entire narrative surrounding the tech.
Yeah.
Is, you know.
As it turns out, you don't need to spend billions of dollars, and it doesn't have to be proprietary technology. It doesn't have to be protected. It doesn't have to be closed off. Another narrative, even with these export controls, even with putting all these restrictions on shipping chips to China, competition still finds a way, still emerges. Also, AI dominance is not a zero-sum game. It is not first there wins and that's it indefinitely. There's so much more room for competition, and it speaks to how, as we were saying, it's just still so unknown. Nobody really fully understands. It would be like going back 20, 25 years ago and trying to predict what the internet is going to look like and how it's going to function. It's the same kind of thing at play here. Also, a big thing is we consumers, the end product for us, we might not need that bleeding edge technology. We might need something that's just, yeah, it's good enough. It gets the job done.
Yeah, I think it matches. It lives up to most of the ChatGPT benchmarks, but the pro versions and whatever they're, because they have all these different versions like 4.0, 03, like whatever. They're top of the line. It probably couldn't do the same things. DeepSeek probably can't do the same things. But if you're just like a regular Joe, I'm sure you would not notice the differences.
Yeah,
I don't notice any difference.
Sure,
but I'm also not doing any crazy coding or anything like that.
And like I said, it's like Kyla said, it speaks to how our stock market is heavily dependent on tech and capital investment, and meanwhile, we're so not competitive like we thought we were. A lot of good talent, she pointed out, is likely wasted on things like crypto shit, chasing meme coins.
Because that's where the money is.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
where you can fucking profit in a huge way. It's scary for us. I mean, we're joking a lot. I mean, especially me, I'm joking a lot about like the CCP is strong and all this. It's not good for us if we're not competing, if we have no edge, if we are not innovating. And
we've become complacent.
We've become stupid. We don't
Greedy
invest
piggies.
in these. We don't invest in these things. We don't invest in our people. We don't. It's very difficult to get an education in this country, unfortunately.
Now you got a damn computer teaching the kids.
I mean, those kids seem like they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But
see the one flipping burgers?
Yeah, he
sucked at it.
He needs a little work on that.
Yeah.
But everyone here, you know, I'm sure everyone watching the show is very familiar with the fact that if you want to get an education in this country, it's a very expensive endeavor, and you're sitting there making the calculation. Is that something I want to take on?
Yeah.
And that's something like you're not going to see for decades. Like you need to invest in these things.
Mm-hmm.
You need to plant the seeds, and you know we're just not doing that.
Well, it's a good thing that the average age of a person in the House of Representatives is like well into the 70s. You know, people who really understand this stuff and can prepare and create and write laws to dictate our future and make sure that we remain competitive. I really like this from Joe Weisenthal.
Are you looking for 14, the one where he's talking about?
No. Next one. Okay, final one. It must be this.
Okay, so 14, the one I just.
Oh, sorry.
So,
yeah,
okay.
I didn't know that.
No, so for sure, the one I just said.
Joe Weisenthal.
Could we please leave that on?
Yeah, leave that in. Joe Weisenthal says in his newsletter, regardless, I think a big macro fact about the American economy is that we have a de facto social contract where financial assets are expected to go up over time. Assets going up is how we pay for college, retirements, and so forth. There's been a lot of anxiety about competition with China and manufactured goods over the last several years, but manufacturing isn't what drives the U.S. stock market higher. When we're talking about big tech and software, well, now we're getting right to the heart of how people fund their lives. It's a big deal. That's what's really a concern here, is that it's kind of, in many ways, it's like an emperor wears no clothes type of situation of like, oh, fuck, we don't really have a leg to stand on if it turns out that this big thing that we've been funneling so much money into is such a big foundational pillar of the stock market the last few years. So We'll endure it. We always do.
Well, I think that's the fear, though, right? I think for the last 2 decades, at least, the narrative was that America is the big innovator. China does not do that. People were posting, I'm sure you've seen it all over Twitter, the headlines from 2010, 2012, 2014 from the Wall Street journals, all kinds of writers, journalists, thinkers saying like, China doesn't innovate. That's not what they do. And I think people are very surprised right now. They're getting caught with their pants around their ankles a little
Which
bit.
is really funny, actually, because the founder, Liang Wenfeng, actually said about China's tech industry, he said in the past 30 years, China's tech industry has only emphasized making money and ignored innovation. Innovation is not solely driven by business. It also needs curiosity and a desire to create. So I think it sounds like it's not just a unique trait to American ideology. It also is Chinese, but
what?
That just came out weird. It's just that, I guess you could say the same thing about the likes of Ilya Sutskever and some of these people who at least initially had the ambition to create something that was good for, and then, right, that was like the kind of whole controversy about OpenAI becoming for profit and becoming closed AI is like, hey, you guys were right there, but now you're fucking.
Yeah, it's just kind of it's what we were talking about in the beginning too, like the those decades where tech was kind of I don't know, they kind of had this like love for it. They were in it for the love of the game, and the financialization of the internet. We've all kind of felt it. If you're around our age and grew up with the internet, you kind of like felt this difference, and the innovation feels so different these days, right? They're just like. It feels like they're out of ideas sometimes. Like, when they're just like, I don't know, we can take something you can easily do for yourself, but I don't know, we'll just make an app for it. Taxis, for example. It's just Uber. You didn't need to create Uber. You could have just created an app for New York City taxis and taxis and expanded. It's just a different thing. And it's that monopoly mindset of, we will come in at competitive rates, squeeze everyone out. Then when we have the entire market, we can raise rates, and we're the only game in town.
Yeah.
It's also very funny. Joe Weisenthal pointed it out, which is something I never really thought about with
did you have a crush on Joe Weisenthal?
He's the first guy who I'd never heard anyone talk about.
First guy you've ever been attracted to?
He's the first guy I fucked.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I got to no.
I quoted him too. I'm just joking.
Yeah. He was early on the DeepSeek game.
Yep.
It was him and that guy. Do you know this guy, Andrei Karpathy? He's got like 1 million followers. He's doing Eureka Labs.
I think I do follow.
So this was when was this? Just before New Year's, December 26th. He's saying DeepSeek making it look easy today with an open weights release of frontier grade LLM trained on a joke of a budget. 2048 GPUs for 2 months, $6 million. So he was talking about this like way before anyone. For reference, this level of capability is supposed to require clusters of close to 16,000 GPUs. He was just way ahead of everyone.
Yeah.
But what he pointed out was that AI, unlike other tech things, the example he used, which is the best one, when Google search came out, do you remember it?
Yes, I know exactly.
I very vividly remember it because it was clearly the best one. Forever we were like using all kinds of search engines.
Ask Jeeves,
Yahoo. Weird thing. Like it just didn't work. And when you used Google for the first time, you were like, wow, this is a different thing. This is clearly the best thing. Everything else fell away. It was just, and so much so they built an entire company around it. It's still, even though they've made it a lot worse, it's like the gold standard. He was saying that like AI companies just, there's nothing where that, and I'm like a great example where these things come out. I kind of like play with it a little bit. I don't have a clear preference for it. And none of them have this lock. Like they don't lock you in. You can just, ChatGPT they're not keeping anyone in with any real, there's nothing that would keep you using ChatGPT over another.
Sure. I think his main point was that Google, when they did that, they already did have such a moat around them that they published exactly how it worked. And they showed the world like, hey, this is how our search functions. And it was too late for anybody to catch up to them because they had already kind of cornered the market. And a similar thing is happening with DeepSeek, where they're like, hey, here's how we did it. And they made it totally open in the same way.
Yes, but I think that's a common thing. I think that a lot of tools will lock you in when it comes to tech.
Sure.
I think like Google Maps is another great example where they're like everyone who tries Apple Maps and like Apple Maps has done a lot of work.
Dog shit.
No, it's great.
I hate Apple Maps.
I know. I can't use it. Like people try to get like Phil uses it.
Yeah.
And when it's on in his car, I'm like, actually, that does seem to like look easier to follow.
Don't trust it.
I know. Google Maps has locked us in.
Yeah.
To their platform, even though it might not be the best thing, you're just like, this is the one I use. It's captured the market. It's, but AI, no one has any kind of like loyalty to any of these.
Yeah, I like this. Just speaking again on the whole China versus the United States. This Yan LeCun, the chief AI scientist for Meta, actually for Meta's fundamental AI research, just recently said, to people who see the performance of DeepSeek and think China is surpassing the US in AI, you're reading it wrong. The correct reading is open source models are surpassing proprietary ones. I thought that was very poignant.
Yeah, Zuck is stoked too because
he wants to make it all
what are they
open
called? Llama.
Llama
is it's the same thing. It's all OpenAI. I think he said something like
open source. You mean?
Yeah, sorry, open source. How it's like a defining year for open source models.
It's really great too because Microsoft, Google, all these mega companies have been essentially footing the bill and and if you're really smart about it, fucking DeepSeek is riding the coattails and like using through their backdoor ways, using this shit to make what they made. So let's talk real fast about the future and what this means. So like we were saying earlier, the open source nature of it and the super low, this is the big part, the super low compute requirements means that we are likely to be able to have this shit running on our phones in a meaningful, usable way in like a year or two, tops. You can run it on your laptop. You don't need, it may mean truly like usable, functional AI that
like we were saying, I mean, it's hard to know. Everything is just kind of getting started. This is it's a big moment. I don't think I think things will equalize for American stocks and
speaking of stocks,
tech companies, and it also feels like those companies may have just been overvalued a bit too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. NVIDIA at one point was the most valuable company in the world at, I want to say, $3 trillion. By the way, many insiders were just selling shares into that run.
I do hope we move away from, I feel like I'm tired of the AI being forced on me. I really hate, I finally, with the newest update for the iPhone, it just kind of had Apple Intelligence on there. And I finally went into settings and just turned it off because I was like, I don't want to fucking see this. I don't need you to rewrite a text message for me.
Yeah, no kidding. So actionable stuff here. So as CITRINI, as he'd pointed out in his research paper, the commoditization of AI brings the second phase of AI investment, which is software, from the picks and shovels to the products. And he highlighted a whole bunch of stocks. I mean, there's too many to list, but I just picked a couple here. Asana, Confluent, ASAN, CFLT, CXM, PATH, Path, Task, TASK, and then Alibaba, baby. My God.
You know I'm still holding my Alibaba.
You know I got my Alibaba, baby. Yeah. I bought back into that Baba, baby. I bought the Baba. I bought some...
Dude, that was early. I knew the CCP was strong.
It's really, really fun and
I bought it as a joke. In 2021.
We did talk about having CITRINI on, and we've got him here for just a moment. He's traveling. He's at some conference, but he was gracious enough to
give us a few minutes.
Give us a few minutes of his time, and we'll play that right now. All right, so guys, we got a very exciting guy on the line. His name is CITRINI. I subscribe to his newsletter, his Substack rather. You guys should too. It's really chock full of really, really useful, actionable information. CITRINI, welcome. So, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and why we should listen to you?
Thanks for having me on, guys. James is my real name. My kind of nom de guerre is CITRINI. I run investment research newsletter called CITRINI Research. What we write about is kind of like we call it thematic equity. It's like big trends in markets and kind of how to play them. We're focused on like very top down approach that basically tries to find secular kind of like multi-year, maybe even multi-decade trends early. So we were in early 23 was when we first published our bullish kind of approach to the AI trade. We've been early to a couple other trends like GLP-1s.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like this U.S. fiscal policy spending, the kind of industrial infrastructure build out from the IIJA and the IRA. We've been early to kind of like what's going on in airlines. So we've been early on a couple things. We've been wrong on a couple things. But basically, we're just in the market and we're trying to figure out kind of what's going to happen next. And we've gotten pretty in the weeds on AI. It's probably our most kind of complex topic that we cover.
Right.
So we try to basically we speak with like AI researchers, we speak with people that work at these companies and founders, and then we spend a lot of time reading like very technical stuff. And then our effort is basically to communicate that, to like simplify it without dumbing it down, and then communicate it to investors so that they can make actionable decisions off of it.
Like me. I guess the biggest question would probably be, because obviously the biggest fallout from all of this is Nvidia dropping to the tune of like $580 billion. But you had written in your report that this is actually not a concern for Nvidia and all of these other big AI names.
That is
like,
not what I said.
Oh,
Let's
okay.
not misquote me here. No, I actually we do kind of like a thematic portfolio that we publish. We were pretty early to the AI trade, May of 23. But the way that we do it is kind of like we would much rather own like a basket of stocks than just a single stock. So basically, the framework that we laid out for AI, which I think is still very valid, is essentially you have the quote unquote picks and shovels, right? That phrase has been so overused to this point, but essentially you can't do AI. When we first understood it, you couldn't do AI without kind of the infrastructure of these like GPU heavy data centers, right? And then you build that, and that was and then you get like second derivative trades, like look how much power these data centers are using, and look how much connectivity equipment these data centers need, and look at the server racks and the kind of interconnects and everything, right? So eventually you build it, and then you need to get to like, okay, who's going to enable like kind of the application layer of AI, and who's going to actually build it, right? A lot of those companies. So those are the three phases. A lot of the companies in the third phase are not public yet. Some of them probably don't exist yet. But the thing is, what we said in our piece, we've been kind of not constructive on Nvidia, not necessarily bearish, just like the risk reward has gotten a lot worse because of everything that's priced in. You look at this Stargate headline that we got, and imagine a year ago getting a headline, hey, we're investing $500 billion into AI. Nvidia would have been up like 20%, and it didn't move that much, right? So it was very clear, the writing was on the wall, that like the risk reward was to the downside on Nvidia. So we were already out of it by then. And when like last Friday, we said it's time for like phase two. It was very clear from DeepSeek was released so we were talking about DeepSeek in November, but the DeepSeek R1, this specific paper, was released 9 days ago. So there was a lot of time to kind of look through it, and basically what it represents is like there's going to be a shift and a democratization. If you think of like how the internet went, the internet was basically built by a bunch of dudes in like their basement and their garage, and that has been very difficult to do with AI, if not impossible, because of the cost, the training, right? Not necessarily of inference, but of training, and then the kind of like closed sourceness of the most cutting edge model. So what
Right.
DeepSeek has accomplished here is basically, this is an open source model. They did a bunch of crazy stuff like, like memory compression, and they basically had like two big breakthroughs that make the models much more efficient. We got super technical in our piece, and I won't like bore your readers by getting into like MOE and how the parameters work and all that stuff. But at the core of it, it's like this is an open source, efficient on a computing sense model, and distilled models that are like basically free in the terms of like what the cost of the tokens. So um, we definitely did not say this probably is a bad thing for NVIDIA. What we said was NVIDIA is not AI, right? And
Sure.
maybe there is like a scenario. Every like even Satya Nadella is talking about like Jevons paradox. Okay, sure, but like when you start invoking like economic concepts like Jevons paradox to like stay in your position that's up 300% in the past year, that's when it's like, okay, let's start looking for something new. Well, what this is incredibly bullish for is the second phase of AI, which is like who's going to enable the application layer. One of the most interesting tidbits of this is so OpenAI O1 basically censored the thinking, right? You couldn't see how the model was reasoning, and the instructions for R1 the distillation called R10. It doesn't censor the thinking, and you can see the thinking. And the crazy thing is, it like half the time it doesn't make sense to humans. So
Hmm.
that kind of gives you an idea where it's like, okay, if we're going to get all these AI agents that are interacting with like the internet and spreadsheets and PDFs and all that stuff, it's like maybe we have to build like an application layer on top of the application layer, basically an internet that's specifically for agentic AI interaction. There's like a big opportunity here that's going to just be unlocked by this kind of to use like a buzzword, the democratization, right? Because it's cheaper and it's open source and it's easily accessible. So the trade that we recommended on Friday was you want to be like long these software, specific software names, and then you want to be short SMH.
Would
That's the semiconductor ETF.
would you say that it's almost like a sort of internet 2.0 in that in like the dot-com era, you had the infrastructure getting built out like with Cisco and all the, the what was needed for the backbone of the internet way back then. Is it
Yeah,
kind of a similar thing today where now you're essentially
dude, they're
moving
all
to the
similar.
next phase, like you said, of like being
Yeah,
able to buy the Googles and the Facebooks and things like that?
100%. And the thing is, like, not just the internet, dude. Like radios, railroads. It's like the
Yeah.
cycle goes the same way every single time. And then there's always a glut of capex. There's always an overbuild, and that always happens, right? It happened with the railroads. It happened with the radios, and it's like, you know, uh, it has to happen for the technology to go forward. And now that we're kind of, you can go back to the dot com bubble, look at sell side research, and you'll find examples of like. Um, People being like, yo, if everyone has to plug in a PC, then the power demand is going to go through the roof. And then you look at a chart of power demand over the last 20 years and it's just flat for 2 decades, right? So it's like there's always this kind of like euphoria about the infrastructure. The thing that actually matters and the thing that really like can like yeah, I don't necessarily think that like Nvidia is going to have bad returns. You still the 40% of the revenues from inference. You still have to do a ton of inference. They're still going to
Mhm.
sell a ton of chips, but where we're at right now, it's not really the time to have pivoted into phase two has happened already, right? This is something that like the market should have been thinking about as kind of like the commoditization of LLMs continued, and now it's kind of like confronted with that reality in a very uncomfortable way, and
Yeah.
and you see this big reaction, and that's reasonable because like the people that thought that like, oh, I'm gonna just like get into this generational AI trade, which is an exponential technology that's constantly changing, and like the way that I'm gonna win is I'm just gonna buy this one stock. Like that doesn't that can work really well. It can't work forever, right?
Right.
I mean, eventually, especially with this early on with the technology, eventually you get something where like there's changes, and you remember like there are plenty of examples of like companies getting displaced, and Nvidia probably won't get displaced here. If anything, it can probably increase their inference business. But inference is a place where Nvidia is not like they're not the be all end all, right? AMD, Intel, like you know, uh, they can compete on inference. Where they couldn't compete was training. So yeah.
Right. Can you real quick explain the difference between what is inference exactly? We've got an audience of plebs, and I honestly don't know either.
So like let me see. I'm gonna try to come up with like a snappy like analogy for training and inference. Let me think about this for a second. I don't want to like recycle one because like I feel like there's like a lot of bad. It's so imagine like so basically okay, easy enough. Training is like when you're going to school, and inference is like when you're using the stuff you learned in school to do your job, right?
Gotcha.
Or imagine like learning to play a musical instrument and then like playing a musical instrument, right? So like you teach yourself how to play, or you learn how to play, and that's like a very labor intensive process. And then when you're playing, you're still kind of doing those same computations in your brain. It's just like you've trained to do them. So basically, to get a little more technical, the training requires doing a lot of things in at the same time, and that's called parallelization. And basically, the thing is like graphics cards, because they were made for these like video game graphics. They are good at doing that. That's kind of how like graphics work. So graphics cards are very good at parallelization, parallel computing, and that's why they were great for training. For inference, you can use CPUs, and there are plenty of like companies like Cerebras and Grok and that are making like specific chips just for training, and NVIDIA doesn't have as big of a moat there.
Gotcha.
Can I ask
I
a
do
question?
have to run,
Oh.
but maybe like one more question, then I really got to run.
Okay.
Just a quick question, because a big part of the discourse is obviously whether or not DeepSeek is telling the truth about all kinds of things, the cost, the things they used.
I get where you're going. It doesn't matter, right? Like the model is open source, which means that like AI researchers in America can go and like replicate their findings, and like the findings are real, right? So like it doesn't have they said everyone's like, oh, they said it cost $6 million to train. No, they didn't say that. They said that like the pre-training phase cost $6 million, right? And the thing is like they literally say in the paper, like this does not include capex and like administrative and all that. Like they're pretty upfront about it. They were just like, this is what it costs to do pre-training. Like Google has done pre-training for like $11 million, right? Like the cost that it took them to get there, or whether they trained it on NVIDIA chips or not, like this is a little less important than the fact that like these distilled reasoning models exist. They can be run on much like less complex chips. And again, it's not necessarily like the death knell for NVIDIA, but what it is like it's the starting gun for AI. It's
Right.
probably the most bullish thing that's happened to AI in the real world, right? It's just the fact that like the market was basically like, well, shit, we don't know what AI is going to look like, so let's just buy the infrastructure, right? But that's not AI. That's just what you need to do AI, or what you needed to do to AI.
All right, cool, James. Thank you so much for taking the time, and yeah, I look forward to seeing how this all plays out.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. Take care. And there he goes, folks. Oh boy,
that was wonderful.
Yeah, wow. I highly recommend. I mean, it's expensive. It's not for everybody, but CITRINI Research, CITRINI. I subscribe. It's helped me a lot. I really wish that I had been subscribed in early 2023 when he was talking about buying NVIDIA and buying Novo Nordisk and all the GLP-1 stocks. Oh my God, dude. I was late to the game. But yeah. Well, there you have it, folks.
It's going to continue to get weirder, I imagine.
It's going to continue to get weirder, I imagine.
Yeah, who knows? Are we going to enter some kind of weird Cold War? Will we maybe will Trump usher in an era of Chinese collaboration where we can? Did you hear? We didn't even talk about it. His little comment about it, but
Trump?
It's not important.
He said something about DeepSeek. What did he say?
I
like it, and it's very Chinese.
It's very impressive.
Right. That's cool.
But yeah, we don't even need to talk about him. I'm sure that'll be. It's nice to get a break from the bozo in chief, if you know what I'm saying.
We're never gonna get a break, man.
We got a break this week, and you know who gave it to us? China.
Well,
China. It's abundant with gifts.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to end. We'll have a fun bonus episode for you, everybody. We didn't get around to it, so we'll push it there. The Vine coin. God, I'm so pissed off about that. I think that's so lame and obnoxious. Oh, we got to talk about the GOODR.
Oh, we'll be talking about the GOODR.
All right.
And if you saw us at the GOODR, no, you didn't.
Yeah, no, you didn't. Okay, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the bonus. BenandEmilShow.com.
Bye.